Fighter, I think he's amazing. I think he has great technique. He has crazy knockout power.
We all know Tank best weight is 35, 40. You fought Barrios at 40, 35, 40. And you fight Jake Paul, who getting better. I'm like I said, and he got 6 feet tall. Where Tank gonna hit him?
Gervonta Davis kicked off his first day of training camp for the Jake Paul fight with high intensity. During pad work, he threw a rapid 35-punch combination, showing off his signature speed and power. His sharp footwork and precision highlighted the focus he's bringing into camp. Fans and analysts see this as a clear signal that Davis is preparing to dominate Jake Paul with skill, discipline, and relentless pressure in the ring. Davis also got social media talking with an Instagram post saying, "See y'all soon. I guess ATL going to be two-turned." He added, "Tell them to send that bag and I'm coming." The message highlighted two things. Davis is eager to return to the ring, and he expects the business side of boxing to be respected. In today's sport, where fighters balance legacy with financial security, Tank's post struck a chord. It wasn't just casual, it was a statement that he's ready, motivated, and knows his value, refusing to compromise.
I text that again. Tell them boys to give me 150 M's. I'm coming. You know what I mean? When I start streaming out that, yeah, and that, stop it, knock it off, cuz. Stop it. Tell them to send that bag, and I'm coming. And I'm, you know.
Even before the fight was official, Davis made his opinion on Jake Paul very clear. He once called Paul's efforts trash, reflecting the doubts many traditional boxers have about celebrities entering the sport. Davis suggested Paul turn to boxing after growing bored with other ventures like YouTube. This criticism highlights the clash between boxing purists and the new wave of entertainment-driven fighters. Yet, despite Tank's remarks, Paul's persistence has earned him recognition from the sports elite. The fact that Davis is now facing him in the ring shows how far Paul has come, turning what was once seen as a novelty into one of boxing's most talked about matchups.
And celebrities like Jake Paul taking up boxing, you think that grows the sport?
If he's doing it for the right reason, actually want to do it because of just like actually want to box, it's cool. But if he's doing it for like the wrong reason, just to get the hype and stuff like that, I feel as though it's trash. Sometimes people get bored at what they want, what they doing, and they want to try other stuff. Got to be mentally tough to be able to box. So that's why I don't take that away from some fighters or some people that want to jump into the sport. So just show how tough you are. That's how it should be.
For sure. That's all I got. Thank you, bro.
Sure. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
The Davis versus Paul fight has sparked intense debate in boxing circles. Many worry it shows the sport moving from a focus on skill and legacy to one driven by spectacle and entertainment. Critics say the matchup hurts boxing's integrity, turning it into more of a show than a competition between top athletes. However, another perspective is important. Boxing has always blended sport with entertainment. From Muhammad Ali's charisma to Mike Tyson's pay-per-view draws, spectacle has been part of its appeal. Whether fans see this fight as a gimmick or a big event depends on how they weigh legacy against entertainment.
Boxing has gone too far. Jake Paul is taking on Gervonta "Tank" Davis in an exhibition bout this November. The fight will be taking place in Atlanta between the cruiserweight and the 135-pounder, nearly a 100-pound difference between the two guys. This is absolutely insane. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments down below.
Former super middleweight contender Jesse Hart expressed frustration with those criticizing Gervonta Davis for taking on Jake Paul. Hart argued that critics are missing the point. Davis isn't abandoning his legacy but navigating modern boxing as a business. He added, "Tank has the right to prioritize financial opportunities, even if some see it as joining the circus." Hart's comments highlight the divide among fighters themselves. Some think Davis should face names like Shakur Stevenson or Teofimo Lopez, while others recognize that a big payday against a globally known opponent like Paul is too significant to pass up. Hart frames Davis's choice not as betrayal, but as smart business. Even so, while many analysts support Davis, not everyone agrees.
If you want to join the circus, that's the circus. I don't see the value. I just see money involved in that. If they want the money, if that's what they want to do, then go ahead and go ahead and get the money. But other than that, I'm not. You got a guy, Jake Paul, that's what, 6'3", 6'4", almost. Then you got a guy, Gervonta Davis, that's like 5'5", a little guy. Yeah. Y'all gonna try to, who's 200 pounds, who's just for Mike Tyson there, I'm gonna throw him in there with a 135. It's just a circus, and that's what they want to do, to give money, to generate money in the sport of boxing instead of Gervonta Davis. This is a legacy fight. He was supposed to fight Lamont Rope after this, and then he say, no. Think about it. You really can't say too much. When you say Gervonta Tank Davis and you say Lamont Roach, there's still a question mark on that fight. It was still a question mark on that rumble. You just gonna leave it and then go right to the money and say, no, I ain't. That's how you know legacy and everything don't matter. I did that before. I took the money with the Joe Smith fight when my hand was fucked up and, excuse my language, my hand was messed up, broke in training camp, and I still said, yo, no, I'm taking that. I'm still fighting him. I'm not gonna not fight him again. We're fighting him, Dad. We're fighting him, Rick. We're fighting him, Fred. I went against everybody. Jesse, don't take the fight, man. Let your hand heal. Let's get the surgery. No, I'm fighting him. It's too close. We 3 weeks out. I'm fighting him.
Boxing commentator Andy Ross offered a surprising view, predicting a win for Jake Paul. He said the fight is a good opportunity for both fighters, but believes Paul's size and unorthodox style could make the difference. Opinions like this show why the matchup is so intriguing. While Paul doesn't have Davis's experience, his size, confidence, and unconventional approach bring real unpredictability. Ross's prediction may be unpopular, but it reflects those who feel Paul deserves more respect than the boxing world gives him. Still, not all insiders are convinced the fight will actually happen.
Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Davis.
Crazy.
Your thoughts on this?
I have locks with Snaggy right there. I think Jake Paul wins that fight. You're way, look, obviously Gervonta Davis has way more experience. He's a hell of a fighter. He's done so much more for boxing and than a lot of people. But to say that, that's not, everyone's going to want to watch that fight. I think it's a genius idea. I think Jake Paul sets the craziest expectations, and I think he sets the bar so high now in the boxing world. Jake Paul revived boxing. People can say what they want to say about it, but Jake Paul really revived the sport of boxing. Joe Rogan once said previously, not so long ago, but he did speak about how boxing would eventually die out and all the eyes would shift to MMA. And it's true. I sit there, I'll watch UFC whenever there's an amazing pay-per-view event. I'm always watching it. Boxing, I don't really watch it as much. And yeah, you can call me a casual to the sport. I'm just getting into it. But the people that are just getting into the sport, UFC is like the new boxing, what it was 20, 30 years ago. So Jake Paul is changing and reviving the sport of boxing, in my opinion. But I think that Jake Paul wins that fight. I love Gervonta as a fighter. I think he's amazing. I think he has great technique. He has crazy knockout power. Don't underestimate him.
You've spoken to him before, haven't you?
Yeah.
When you're doing it was you and Ron Garcia and Gervonta and Tank when they were fighting.
Yeah. I just spoke with Gervonta today, actually. So when I get back to Miami, him and I might do something. I don't know. But, I think, like I said, don't count him out, but I think Jake Paul wins that fight.
Coach Bernie dismissed the matchup entirely, saying he doesn't believe it will happen, not even as an exhibition. He feels the fight lacks purpose and credibility, offering more hype than substance. His skepticism isn't unusual. High-profile crossover bouts have collapsed during negotiations before. Bernie's doubts reflect a wider reluctance in boxing to accept celebrity-driven events. However, with both Davis and Paul publicly committed, his view could be proven wrong. Still, his comments show that even within the sport, many remain unconvinced about the fight's legitimacy.
I don't see, even at an exhibition. Now, first of all, we went with the Mike Tyson thing, right? So Mike Tyson, 60 years old. Obviously we all thinking that, he had to pull his punches against Jake. Either one of them, both of them had to do something to get through the fight, so they couldn't do their 100% thing in the fight. Now we talking about a 135-pound guy, 5'3", right, against a 6 foot, 200-pound guy. What is the point of that? I'm asking you, what is the point of that? What is the point of that, and how you think that's gonna go? So Jake Paul, just alone on strength alone, Tank is not We just seen him struggle with Lamont Roach, right? Who's a guy his size. Now, Jake Paul is not as talented as Lamont Roach, but come on now, we ain't talking about 2 weight classes. We talking about 4, 5, 6 weight classes. Come on, we got to go from 35, we got to go to 40, 47, 54, 60, 68, 75, 90. That's 7 weight class difference. 7 weight class difference. 7 weight class difference. We talking about 7 weight class difference. We all know Tank best weight is 35, 40. You fought Barrios at 40, 35, 40. And you fight Jake Paul, who getting better. I'm like I said, and he got 6 feet tall. Where Tank gonna hit him? Where is Tank gonna land some punch? And he don't throw a lot of punches. Come on now. He didn't knock Lamont Roach out. You gonna knock Jake Paul out? So what's the point of the exhibition for real?
Beyond financial gain, some analysts view Paul's choice as a strategic move toward legitimacy. For years, he has fought for respect, often dismissed as just a YouTuber stepping into boxing. Yet his persistence and wins against former MMA champions have raised his profile. Taking on Davis, an undefeated knockout artist, is Paul's boldest attempt to prove himself as a genuine contender. A strong performance, regardless of the outcome, could earn him credibility that can't be ignored.
And it definitely seems like this is that he wants the respect of legitimacy. He doesn't want to be looked at like some type of, circus act. Like, people think that he's doing these fights that are being thrown. He's not legitimate, and his detractors are saying that it's like, yeah, okay, well, you did this and you did that, but these guys were old, or, they were retired, or this and that. But the fact of the matter is, when you fought a real fighter, you lost. So people are like, you're not legitimate. That's what people say. So after everything I've seen on him, if he can beat Tank Davis, I think he'll have his legitimacy card. If he can beat or do something like Rocky 1 to where you got people questioning who won, then he's going to get all the respect in the world. That's how I think it's going to go. Because I've seen Tank just destroy people, body people, play with his food, with people. You know what I'm saying? Tank is legit as it gets.
For Gervonta Davis, this fight is less a career risk and more a chance to grow his brand. Analysts note that beating Paul would boost Davis's popularity, especially with casual fans who don't follow traditional boxing closely. The global attention Paul brings ensures Tank reaches a wider audience. Winning this bout doesn't close the door on legacy fights. Rematches with opponents like Lamont Roach could still happen later. In this way, the Jake Paul fight serves as a springboard, increasing Davis's profile before he returns to high-stakes, legacy-defining matchups.
Push him even further along in his popularity. If he puts on a good performance and it's an exciting fight or exhibition and anything, and he winds up somehow looking good in this, I don't know how it is. It looks to me David and Goliath, but David got skill and Goliath doesn't, but I don't know how it's going to work out. But if for some reason it winds up being a really fun event and it has tons and tons of millions and millions and millions of viewers, when Gervonta Davis goes back to his next fight, which I hope would be a Lamont Roach fight, then maybe some of that will wash into the next fight and it'll be a bigger fight and more money in it for the fighter that he'll actually fight next, who, again, I certainly hope is Lamont Roach. So why did he do it? It's very, very, very clear that he did this. Gervonta Davis did this for the money. And it's not an illogical thing. And if somebody in his situation has this to do, consider all things considered, hey man, this is what people are going to do. So he has a fight with a tough Lamont, very, very tough Lamont Roach. who people did not say was a tough fighter before he fought him, but Lamont Roach is a very, very tough fighter. He had a deal already done to fight Jake Paul before he caught that draw. So if I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, I'm going to say, okay, great. If you get you already signed for the Jake Paul deal, that could be $50 million. I'm hearing the numbers I'm hearing somewhere around $50 million. Then if you go back and fight Lamont Roach and the anticipation for the Lamont Roach fight has increased, then you kind of get a double dip on it, and it may work out extremely well for
Shakur Stevenson also shared his perspective as a fighter on Davis's choice. He admitted that his pride would drive him toward a rematch with Lamont Roach, yet he couldn't overlook the financial rewards of facing Jake Paul. Shakur's comments reflect the conflict many fighters face, balancing personal legacy with money. While some focus on championships and historical standing, others recognize that the right fight at the right time can create generational wealth.
And many people, including Shakur, thought Lamont Roach actually won the fight. So it's a highly anticipated rematch because of the night of the fight. The fight was actually 15-1 in favor of Gervonta Tank Davis. So the whole world wants to see Gervonta Tank Davis rematch Lamont Roach. Was it a fluke? Was it a bad night for Tank Davis? Was it a style matchup? Bad matchup for Tank Davis? Does Lamont just have his number? They fought twice in the amateurs in close fights. What is it, right? And Gervonta Tank Davis, in the eyes of the boxing world, needs to rematch Lamont Roach. So Shakur addresses, why are you not rematching Lamont Roach? He was rumored to rematch him. He was rumored to rematch him in June 21st, he didn't sign. Then August 16th, he didn't sign. But he told you the night of the fight, the post-fight press conference with Lamont Roach, that he not rematch him no time soon because he already had this set up with Jake Paul. So Shakur says he would do the same thing as long as he could rematch Lamont Roach because of his competitive nature and his hunger and drive to be great in the sport of boxing.
Trainer Greg Hackett offered one of the most balanced views in the discussion. He stressed that Davis's choice is smart business, not desperation. Hackett reminded critics that boxing is called prize fighting for a reason. Earning money has always been central. He argued that fighting Paul doesn't lessen Davis's status as an elite champion or harm his legacy. Instead, it's another example of a fighter seizing a unique opportunity. Hackett's point underlines an important truth. In boxing, financial success and legacy can coexist. Davis can achieve both.
I felt like that in the beginning of it, right? When I first saw the headlines and I saw that they was, instead of him fighting Lamont, he'd be fighting Jake, whatever. At first I was like, damn, Tank, like that's kind of crazy. Like, that's fucked up. But then I started thinking about it throughout the day. I'm thinking about it, I'm seeing the posts and shit. And I'm like, yo, none of this shit is guaranteed. Like, none of this shit that we do in life is guaranteed. And it's also not a guarantee that we all gonna be here for a long time. You know what I mean? We all know somebody that died too early. You know what I'm saying? And one thing I know about life, when I hear old heads talk, you ask them about regrets. I wish I would have did this. I wish I would have did that. I wish I could have did this. I wish I could have did that. At the end of the day, man, he taking a shot at some money. We all wish we could have made that kind of money. I don't understand the issue. He could come back and fight whoever he want after that. His career is not over just because you fighting Jake Paul. Jake Paul ain't no type of fucking demon. It's not like he about to go in there with Godzilla. You about to play around for 8 rounds, 2 minutes with a dickhead. You know what I mean? No disrespect. But, you know, with somebody that think they know how to fight. This is a bank robbery. You know what I'm saying? This is what people do in the corporate world every day. Steal fucking money. He doing it. I'm not mad at that, man. Fuck that. I ain't mad at Tank for some shit like that. I'm mad. I was irked about the fact that I'm a boxing guy and I love great fights. But at the same time, if I stop over here to make some good money and then go back to doing what I was doing, there's nothing wrong with that. Anybody who's waiting around for Tank, or anybody who's so tuned into Tank that they mad, they need to get a in life. Because if you think about it, nobody got mad at Chris Brown when Chris Brown said, you know what, I'm gonna be taking pictures after the show and I'm charging $1,100.
That's a wrap for today's video. Stay tuned for more. See you next time.